Hi, I'm Lacey Chavez. I have chosen to do my presentation over the Renaissance era. The topics I will be discussing are problems in Renaissance times, the first feminist writer, Geoffrey Chaucer, Giotto, the printing press, architecture, and music. What was the Renaissance? Renaissance means rebirth. The Renaissance was the turning point between medieval and modern times. Its birthplace was in Florence, Italy. The Renaissance lasted from 1300 to 1600. The 14th century was a period of transition. The 14th century also had several dramatic problems. Some of the dramatic problems were the bubonic plague, the decline of the Catholic Church, and the 100 Years' War. The bubonic plague is also known as the Black Death. The bubonic plague was the most devastating natural catastrophe of the 14th century. The bubonic plague originated from China. The host of it were rats that were covered in fleas. Decline of the Catholic Church. The growth of European nation-states contributed to the weaning of the Christian Commonwealth. The biggest damages to the Church were the Avignon Papacy and the Great Schism. Avignon Papacy describes the relocation of the papacy from Rome to Avignon, France. Another problem was that the Church started selling indulgences. By selling indulgences, the 7 popes of Avignon gave the Catholic Church a bad reputation. The 100 Years' War, war between France and England. It lasted more than 100 years. The 100 Years' War lasted from 1337 to 1453. It was fought entirely on French soil. The war was a result of English claim to continental land and claim to the French throne. The English kept defeating the French, but the financial burden became too much. Facing a revived French army under Joan of Arc, the English withdrew from France. Christine de Pizan. Christine de Pizan was the world's first feminist writer. She emerged in France. She became a spokesperson for women's rights and education. She wrote the book City of Ladies. She believed women had a right to get an education. Geoffrey Chaucer was one of the greatest masters of 14th century vernacular literature. He shaped the development of English literature. He is also famous for the Canterbury Tales. Giotto. Giotto was the pioneer of painting in the Renaissance. He was an artist from Florentine. His painting represents a landmark of a new era. He introduced a new realism style. One of his famous paintings was the Lamentation of Jesus. The printing press. In 1527, the Aldine Press in Vienna printed the Courier. By the end of the century, there were hundreds of printing shops in Europe. The printing press was the major vehicle in the spread of humanist writings. Renaissance architecture. Architects in the Renaissance used scientific illusionism as a technique in architecture. The Renaissance passion for harmonious design had an equally powerful influence on the history of domestic architecture. Donato Bramante was the architect who was in charge of St. Peter's Cathedral being rebuilt. Renaissance music. Secular music took over in the Renaissance era. The most popular type of vernacular song was the madrigal. Adrian Willart was the leader in madrigals. Here are some landmarks in the Renaissance that I thought were important. Christine de Pizan, the book City of Ladies, Leonardo da Vinci's painting of the Last Supper, and Michelangelo's Dome of St. Petersburg. Thank you.